Muslims living in Abyssinia. Let us contextualize the situation. The Muslims in Mecca cannot worship Allah properly. The Muslims in Mecca are persecuted, tortured, killed. You all know the stories of Ammar ibn Yasir, of Bilal, of Sumayya, of all of these Sahaba who became shaheeds or were tortured severely in Mecca. The Prophet ﷺ and how he was ridiculed. You all know this. There is no Darul Islam in existence. What does the Prophet ﷺ do? He allows 100 Muslims. That is like maybe 50% of the Ummah at that time. That's a huge amount for the time. He allows a huge percentage of Muslims to go to another Darul Kufr. So not all Darul Kufrs are the same. Some are better than others. And what does he tell these Muslims? He tells them, listen to this, you are going to go to a country that has a just Christian king, Najashi. He will not harm you for your religion. He will not harm you for your religion. You will be able to be religious people. So go there. You will be able to worship Allah over there, unlike in Mecca. So go there. So the Muslims went 100. And by the way, 100, we might think it's a small number. For those days, 100, this is like 3-4 tribes. This is a huge number. It's a very big number. 100 strangers coming into your country and living and taking up residence. You all know the story, what happened. The Quraysh came to try to get them back. What did the Muslims do of Abyssinia? They fought in the courts of Najashi. They utilized the systems of Najashi. There is no Sharia court. There is no Islamic court. What do? They go to the very courts of Najashi, the highest court in the land in front of Najashi. And they argue their case. This is the Supreme Court over here. They argue their case passionately. Not based upon Islamic principles, based upon universal principles of justice and fairness. Look at the evidences that Ja'far ibn Abi Talib used. He didn't say Allah commands us that we must live here. He didn't say the Prophet ﷺ commanded us we have to come here, whether you like it or not, tough luck. He realized this is now up to Najashi. Obviously with the permission of Allah. The ruling is for Najashi in this particular case. Obviously whatever Allah wills. So he has to convince Najashi based upon Najashi's system of justice and not based upon the Sharia. So what does he do? He appeals to Najashi's sense of fairness. He says, you are a just king. You allow people to be who they are. We are righteous, religious people. We believe in Jesus Christ. You all know the story. The key point here, Ja'far ibn Abi Talib argued in front of Najashi, in the court of Najashi, using the techniques of Najashi. And nobody complained. Nobody said, A'udhu billah, this is kufr. A'udhu billah, you cannot do this. It's a matter of life and death. You either live your life as Muslims in Abyssinia, or that's it, you're going back to Mecca, and you're going to face persecution and torture. And the Prophet ﷺ allowed these 100 Muslims to live in Abyssinia for almost 1 decade. They lived in Abyssinia for 1 decade almost. Medina was established, the Muslims are still in Abyssinia. Badr is fought, the Muslims are still in Abyssinia. Uhud is fought, the Muslims are in Abyssinia. Ahzab is fought, they're still in Abyssinia. Khandaq is fought, they're still in Abyssinia. And then finally, when the battle is fought against the Yahud, the final battle against the Yahud, the Bani Qurayza, that is when the Prophet ﷺ sends for Ja'far and says, come back. Why at this stage? Why after 7 years of the Hijrah did the Prophet ﷺ tell Ja'far to come back? Scholars say Ja'far ibn Abi Talib was the backup plan. If the Muslims cannot live in Medina, they're all going to go to Abyssinia. There's a backup plan. If we don't succeed in Medina, at least we'll have a place to live. But when finally every major opponent is off of the picture, then the Prophet ﷺ says to Ja'far, come back and live with us. Now during those years, those 10 years that they lived there, the Muslims picked up the language, the culture, the cuisine. They picked up the elements of society that they happened to be a part of. They talked about their religion, but they never once plotted and planned to establish a khilafah in Abyssinia.